Good afternoon. We are Delta Dynamics, and this is our proposal for the 143rd Street expansion in the Plainfield Township of Illinois.
Our company's name is carefully chosen to reflect our three main principles. Firstly, the Greek letter delta reflects change throughout variables, reflecting the meaningful differences that we aim to create in local communities. Secondly, delta, the shape of a triangle, lends itself to strength through its geometry, reflecting our extensive record in strong and resilient transportation infrastructure. Lastly, our third principle is through our homage to river deltas, where we pay respect to the well-being of our clients and our environmental sustainability. Last but not least, we are a proud certified DBE company, and you can check the paperwork for that on the second page of the appendix handout that we just gave you.
Hi, I'm Jace Rump. I'm the project manager on this one. I'd like for each of us to take a minute and kind of explain our backstory. I've spent the last 11 years working on projects around the Chicago and Milwaukee area. My most recent project, I completed a city park where we had to do a lot of excavation, and we also had to do a hydraulic system. So we're excited to kind of continue that going forward.
Hi, I'm Andrew Angelini. I'm going to be the lead estimator on this project. I have been a PE certified for about 13 years. I have been doing during that time, a lot of construction management and transportation projects, specifically dealing with IDOT and CDOT in the Chicago area.
And I'm Janice Chen. I'm the Community Relationships Officer, and I spent the last decade working in transportation and geotechnical projects.
My name is Tali Pongsawas. I'm the project engineer on this project, and I spent the last 14 years working in heavy civil construction projects.
Good afternoon. My name is Gianmichael Alejandro Cancel. I'm from the University of Puerto Rico, and I have 12 years of experience managing and scheduling projects throughout the U.S. and Puerto Rico.
My name is Logan Norton Lapsley. I'm the team captain and site safety officer. I have my PhD and my PE, and I specialize in site safety and environmental protection.
As you're well aware, the 143rd Street expansion is a large project broken up into two different sections. Both sections include extensive renovations, but for the east section, the most important part is the new road between aisle 59 and aisle 126. Likewise, the important part for the west expansion is a new road between Ridge Road and Steiner Road. And for our project, we'll be focusing on a specific scope within the limits of disturbance that you can see on this slide. It is approximately station 544 to station 568. And it is important to note that although this project is located in Will County, we will be facilitating communications with nearby counties such as DuPage and Cook to make sure that all of our construction activities don't cause any major disturbances. After speaking with Mayor John Agrodelis of Plainfield, we have determined three main purposes for this project. First is to increase accessibility and improve safety for nearby residents. Second is to reduce main traffic congestion in the downtown area of Plainfield and hopefully open up new opportunities for expansion of the downtown area. Third, promotion of economic growth through the alleviation of the high property taxes that residents are currently paying through industrial development.
Yeah, so the project manager here. We have several plans to carry out a successful project. The first being weekly and phase-specific meetings. These are different than our progress meetings with our design team. This is so we can carry out the schedule on a successful manner. We're going to have great coordination with IDOT. You know, this being a road project where we need to tie into some existing roads. It's very important that we have good coordination with them and communication, so we can stay on schedule but also not cause any fatalities or anything like that. And we're also going to have several backup vendors. As you may or may not know, we did have a subcontractor that had to rescind their offer due to some bankruptcy issues. So in order to keep the project going and on time, we have plenty of options following up with other subcontractors, and we're hoping to maybe even take advantage of that and try to make an investment in that company going forward to expand our services.
So this is the risk register that we have provided. It's broken up into a top 5 and bottom 5 dynamic. The top 5 risks are the most likely and most severe. So they're most likely to occur, and if they do occur, they have the worst outcomes. Our bottom 5 risks are a combination of the least likely to occur, and if they did occur, they would have a less severe outcome. Notable risks that are more likely to occur are heat exhaustion among our workers, silt fencing failure, or groundwater seepage, as seen already within construction activities. Bottom 5 risks risks are less likely to occur, such as Native American artifact discovery. Into the Chicago area, there's over 65,000 Native Americans currently living there, and Illinois is brought up by over 175 different tribes. So it's a possibility, but currently unlikely. And we also are considering that workers could perhaps drown on site, considering the proximity to water. Additionally, as site safety officer, I've overtaken health, safety, and environment. We have a comprehensive SWIP plan as well as PPE requirements. But to note, we have new technology provided to us via an addendum. We have the Skydio drones that we will deploy on site in 3 different ways: via an OSHA Skydio drone, a SWIP Skydio drone, and a site development Skydio drone. Those will all be used for site safety. These are our muster points. We're using a dual muster point system as opposed to a generic one muster point system. That way, if there's ever an issue in the middle point of the site, we can have all workers go to their respective muster point.
As an 100% employee-owned company, well-being of our employees is of utmost importance to us. So first, we have proposed 3 different initiatives to combat the statistic that the Center of Disease Control and Prevention has provided, which is that construction workers sadly have the 2nd highest suicide rate amongst industry workers. So first and foremost, we will provide links to official resources from the Construction Association and also local resources in the Illinois area in case any emergency occurs. Second, we will be hosting a monthly potluck dinner between the construction workers and the local residents so that the workers are aware of the positive impact they are making in the community and the appreciation is visibly shown. Lastly, we will be utilizing 6 Access Polyscope robots to perform repetitive labor tasks to avoid the chronic pain that construction workers face daily and is often a cause of depression, substance abuse, and overall poor mental health. We hope with these initiatives that we can create a positive long-term impact on bettering mental health and just the overall environment for construction workers.
Here at Delta Dynamics, we created a cohesive quality control plan that will be overseen by our quality control manager. Quality assurance will be done at Tiken, a local construction firm here in Illinois. Meanwhile, quality control will be done in-house. Inspectors will be required to have NICET Level 3 hazard certification, as well as soil inspection will be done by one of our subcontractors. Additionally, if any concerns were to happen regarding this project, it will be immediately brought up during our weekly general body meeting. All concerns will be alleviated prior to continuing work.
Yeah, so this is a list of our subcontractor selection. At the top, you can see Primatera Crew. They're going to be doing all of our landscaping task force, and I would like to point out that is spelled incorrectly. There's a A where there should be an E, and I'm blaming that on my southern accent and relaying that to the presenters here. Secondly, Guardrail and Fence, you might see a Pure Brick LLC. That's actually one of our sister companies, and we were going to use them. However, looking at backlog on other projects we're going to have, it's probably best if they go to a different place, and so we're actually going to use Barrier Built LLC to help us out with guardrail and fencing. Rockport Group, they're going to be doing all of our paving and concrete needs. We're pretty excited to work with them again. They've been great for us in the past. And Storm Edge Erosion, we're pretty excited to work with them. As you know, there is a water body on our site, so it's very important that we keep all the sediment out of there, so they're going to have a pretty big task at hand. So looking forward to working with all these guys.
Communication and transparency is essential to the effectiveness of our project. Thus, we have developed intensive public participation in digital media marketing campaign. Thus, we will be releasing a bi-weekly e-newsletter along with text alerts that will inform local residents of any major changes to our project scope. Additionally, the potluck discuss will also be held. Additionally, weekly meetings will be held with the village board here in the village of Plainfield, Illinois, where stakeholders will be informed of any changes. Additionally, monthly meetings will be held where all local residents will be able to join to voice their concerns while also being informed of any changes to the project. Additionally, prior to the project begin, we will communicate with additional or already happening projects in the area as informed to us from Zachary from GFT. Here is the existing funding that's currently being placed towards our project. And if Delta Dynamics receives the bid, we will work to secure additional funding ranging from the federal, state, and municipal level. All these grants are focused towards infrastructure and transportation developments.
So as you know, we have a technical approach, and it's broken up into a civil and structural guideline. Our civil guideline is heavily focused on the cooperation that we need to have between utility contractors and as well as the local government. So we'll be focusing a lot of our effort onto OSHA compliance, as well as making sure that our utilities are properly marked and cleared properly, using daylighting, vacuum daylighting, or some sort of other water daylighting to make sure that everything is kept clear and safe. And then as for the structural component of our technical component of the rest of the project, we have to note that most of our concrete is cast in place. We have a lot of rebar being used, and any steel that is being erected on site, we want to be certified by the American Institute of Steel Contractors. Additionally, any concrete being poured is going to be ACI certified using our third-party materials testers about the Nuke gauge.
Next, we'll be looking at the construction layout and site layout, as well as the phasing of construction for the project. This was used a lot for the cost estimation and bid schedule as we were creating it for our bid documents. As you can see by the graphic provided, the field office is located on the east side. This is done for the ease of access to the locating nearby road, for transportation of materials and any weekly meetings we want to have with the crew that is arriving on site, or anyone municipalities-wise that wants to have meetings there, as well as material storage being in the area for easy deliveries and use for the entire rest of the project within the limits of disturbance. The construction phases are done such that we have them in 3 working phases. The first phase is to implement the MSE wall. This will ensure that the soil is stable in the area whenever we are going to do our later excavation and get other tests and things done as we are doing that. Gauge guys will be on site doing soil tests and to ensure that everything is done correctly for the area and that we are able to get started on working on phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 2 is done separately from phase 3 in terms of excavation and laying of concrete due to the location of the field office and the material staging area. Whenever we get to phase 3, we'll have to move the field staging area and the field office.
Now, let's talk a bit about schedule. Here we have the project overview. And now for the schedule summary. Here is the project info, where it includes the project name, the owner, the schedule, and the schedule ID. Here we have the schedule summary with the milestones noted, which they are the notice to proceed, the mobilization, and the substantial completion with their dates and the contract duration. Schedule risks and constraints, of course. As the RFP mentions, there is a $5,000 liquidated damages. The weather delays and the contingency delays were included. We have 10 days for our weather days and 20 days for our contingency days. Anticipated risks include utility coordination, adverse weather, and traffic management. For constraints, we have the short working hours, which is requirement for IDOT from Monday to Friday, from 7 a.m. to 3:30. We have the environmental windows, absolute working window, and for incentives, we have the time incentive, which is a incentive that is given to the contractor prior to, if the project is finished prior to the contract date. We have the performance incentive, which is basically maintaining quality throughout the entirety of the project. We have the safety incentives and the DBE incentives. For the schedule approach, our schedule is very tight. We try to maintain ourselves in the scheduled dates that are mentioned in the RFP. So we decided to use fast tracking methods, which is to simultaneously do parallel activities for non-dependent activities, while also for the schedule assumptions, we use the project calendar is, as I mentioned before, from Monday through Friday. Climate is based on NOAA and one of the addendums. Utility coordination is will be in advance with no delays of start of the construction. Permits, crew, and equipment will have to be there. They will always be available for the contractor. Materials and resources are arriving on time. And finally, no change orders or claims. Here is an overview of the schedule. I divided the schedule in pre-construction, construction, and project closeout. Here we have earthwork, which is part of the construction phase. As we see here, almost all the earthwork that is being done in the project is in the critical path. Our civil work is estimated to be around 50% in the critical path. And finally, our storm drainage installation and others are not in the critical path, though the project closeout is completely in the critical path.
Now we'll get into the estimation of quantities that we created for the bid documents. The total project length was estimated to be about 2,300 feet. By using this and an excavated value of about 5 feet for the entirety of the project length, for roadways and other such bike paths or any utilities being laid out, such as storm drains, we were able to calculate very good quantities for the excavation of that area. Estimates were also made from scaled sections of the plans in Bluebeam by using the lengths that were estimated from the Bluebeam drawings and the actual scales of the drawings. We were able to find out how much pipe under drains and other such lengths, such as fences, should be calculated to be. Additional excavation done near the Bass and Gill Lake was needed to be calculated due to the cross sections that were provided there and the elevations that were different from what is currently existing to the proposed along the northeast side location of the project. This had to be calculated for additional excavation on the project and to ensure that the lake was being restored to the Bass and Gill community.
Yeah, so everybody's favorite part here. We'll talk about the number now, and cut me off if I run long on this. But yeah, so we're looking at just over 8.1 million. Anything you see highlighted in yellow is going to be self-performed work. We're pretty excited to get to do all of this as a DBE company that helps us out. Yeah, so also please note that we have a tax column, and so anything that we are going to have to purchase to do self-perform work, we have a tax add-on to account for that. Whereas if we got a quote from somebody, we are not going to account for tax. We believe, and it will be in their contract, that they will be accounting for tax. I would also like to say that you'll see this as made in Excel. We always like to do this as a rough takeoff. It just helps us out, and we love to use software to aid anything that we can. Like Excel right here, we'll continue to use this to keep up with our accounting. And then we also have used P6 for our scheduling, and we're going to use that going forward to keep up with a good schedule and stay on time. And we are going to continue to use Bluebeam to ensure the accuracy of our locations for anything. So with that, I would like to thank everybody. Thank you for your consideration and anything that all the time you've put in. I know it's late on kind of on a weekend, so I appreciate everybody's consideration, and we look forward to working with you. And for now, I'll open up to questions.
Well, sir, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting to hear. If you could go back to the schedule slide.
Yeah.
I believe I caught that the end date was somewhere around May 2027, which you did correctly identify that the substantial completion date required in the RFP is September 30th. If that's the case, are you requesting an extension for us? And if you are doing so, are you carrying that 5,000?
Yeah, I believe, we had discussed this earlier. Gene's our head scheduler. He did notice this.
Yeah, could you pull up the schedule once again? Yeah, so here, my schedule, my original schedule has approximately 140 to 150 activities. So what I did was basically summarize some of the activities. I divided besides from the pre-construction, construction, and project closeout, the construction phase, I divided it into three. Based on the plans that were given, we were given three different types of typical details. So we divided them by stations. So I adjusted some of the dates that are included there. Maybe in the section completion, it's probably one of what they got mixed up. I added all of the dates. So yeah, probably the date rolled a bit, But either way, we assured that it's 252 days, which is.
We're not gonna ask for time before we ever get the job.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge of this project?
You know, numbers are big, numbers are scary, and so making sure that we've covered our bases with the excavation, that's always a big number, and it's something that's, you don't want to mess up, but you also don't want to overcount for, because then you're not going to get a job. And so we try to stay competitive, but also avoid, like our subcontractors, going bankrupt. So, like with every project, the initial takeoff and kind of not getting in your head too much about the quantities you're looking at, that's probably where the big challenge here was. And I will say, in the drain schedule, it was interesting to kind of see a portion of an existing job and looking at the limits of disturbance and seeing where those pipes stopped and started. And then you take that and you try to find the station and locate where your actual pipes are going to start and stop. And so there is a few interesting challenges to kind of look at like the rest of the portion and see, you know, what are we going to account for? With that being said, we feel pretty good about the piping and the footage. But yeah, that's where we're at with that.
Saw a lot of community outreach that you talked about. Is there anything in particular you have prepared for if you have any community members that are vocalize they don't like the type of work?
Yes, so while we were on site the other day, the limited time we had on site, we actually got the opportunity to speak with some fishermen that were present on site, and we actually already did discuss this. So that's part of our plan, is the 6 of us, as well as our subcontractors and our other employees, is we want to physically get on site and to contact and keep up with the locals and their opinion on the matters. So when we were on site, we determined that, speaking to some people on boats, that they really wanted the trees to be replanted along the MSC walls that were originally taken out. Now, seeing some overhead shots from before and during construction, we noticed that the 4,400 trees that were removed, they really want some of those back against that MSC wall. So, to answer your question, it is a risk. That could be turned into legal action and protesting furthermore. But again, the likelihood is low enough and the severity of that is low enough that it's something that we're just going to mitigate in the time being.
Yeah, and like you were saying, we've got 74 years of overall experience, so we're pretty used to seeing angry people at us. So we're definitely going to ensure that we do it straight according to plan, and that way we're not doing anything out of our scope. But at the same time, we are going to hear those cries because I'm a fisherman. I like to fish. I like trees because you catch fish on trees. Anyways, I would like to make people happy, because when you make people happy, you get more work in the future. So we'll take that into account and push it on to the engineers, but we're not going to do anything we're not supposed to be doing. So.
Other than weather, what do you think is the biggest threat to your schedule?
Yeah, contingency. Yeah,
So besides weather, besides weather, I would assume that material would also be part of what will be affecting our schedule. We have knowledge that there is another project close to our project, and their detour goes through our project area, or at least near it. So that could be another one of the risks. That's why we mentioned that traffic management is priority, and that MOT has to be spot on.
A couple of times throughout your presentation and your RFP, you mentioned as part of your QC program tacking. Could you elaborate how they fit in as your quality?
yeah, I believe that's the local company. Are you referring to TAKKIN, I believe? Yeah. Janice, if you'd like to cover that.
So TACN will provide engineers that come on site and provide quality assurance that our engineers will not be doing in order to provide any biases for coming into our project and greenlighting a project before actually passing it on to IDOT inspection.
You mentioned that you switched out sets.
Yeah.
Price here reflective of the use of fencing.
Yeah, so with that sort of thing, we're going to use our own like sister company, but like we said, we had another project going on, so we decided to go ahead, and actually we had the same price as Barrier Built, so it was kind of a just accounting thing. We just decided it was better to go with them, and we can send off Pure Brick to a different site closer to Milwaukee.
I may have missed it, but did you have a commitment for your DBE percentage that you are hoping to carry?
We are a DBE company. I believe that on this job we're going to be around 45% because it's interesting as a GC to be a DBE, but we are employee owned, so it's helpful. A bunch of our actual labor force does have a portion of the profit that goes to them every year, so we're definitely over the 20%. I believe we did the calculation. In the highlighted work you can see that we're going to be around 45% on this one.
And additionally, if you reference the second page of your paperwork, that is our official federal documentation for being a DBE. Furthermore, in the RFP, it said that a percentage of the total work being done has to be done by DBEs. Well, since we are self-performing work, that'll be done by a DBE.
And we can assure that that's going to last a long time because we got that certification yesterday. It's incredible. It's incredible. So, but we're confident that's going to last for this job. So. You're not supposed to use insure, but on that one, I think you can use insure.
Are there any questions for the room?
Can you go back to the schedule slide?
Yes, sir. Any specific one or
Whatever shows you
substantial?
substantial.
That's the last one,
This one?
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sorry, what was it showing being substantial? Like demobilization, what date is that showing?
Demobilization is supposed to be between September 1 and September 30 of 2026.
Is that what that's showing?
That is not what is shown. If you could go to the first page of the schedule. As I mentioned before, I had to mix up a bit because I didn't want to put 145 to 150 activities in the whole site because then we would be a long time here. So as I mentioned, we have approximately 252 days of contract. The total would be 571. Divide that by 2, we get approximately 250-ish. The last date of the schedule is not shown here, though it is programmed to be September 1, 2026, and the 30 days after that would be September 30, 2026.
Yeah, we had when we were making the schedule, we had an issue when it was saying that there was a circle path, I believe.
It said that there was a circle loop.
And that was on the like.
It wasn't really a circle loop. I had to delete a few activities. I even checked out with one of the white bees, and even they didn't know what was happening, so I had to delete a few activities, add them all over again. Lots of bit of time there.
But we do feel that the tasks inside do represent what we are going to be performing.
All the activities that are in the addendum are most of the activities, if not all, the activities that are going to be done in the project.
All will.
Actually, would you be able to provide some insight on how your overhead, profit, and contingency?
Yes. So I believe on your all's pamphlet that you have, or proposal actually, there is something that does say gray is going to be done by others. However, I'd like to point out mobilization, demobilization, and contingency. While that's in gray, that is going to be something that obviously falls underneath us. As far as overhead and profit, we roughly took it at 11% with contractor profit and with contractor profit and overhead. It's different in every area. For us, we felt that was appropriate, and in contingency, we had a discussion on what contingency looks like, and we actually put in 7% on that. So hoping to not have to use it and make a little bit of money here, but if not, you know, we're looking pretty good. So we're looking at roughly 11% worth of overhead and profit. But yeah, does that, and I will also say this. This is the one we made in Excel. Like I said, it's kind of a rough draft. It's something that we can work on and it kind of be active as we're, I guess, coming off our takeoff. But this right here, the tax on self-performed work, we kind of had to account for that in the Procore bid, and so there is a little bit of discrepancy. However, y'all are getting a discount because Procore is a little bit cheaper than what this is going to take off. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, I can try to.
So if you guys have any more important questions about specifically the bid, you'd have to refer back to Procore for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not signing this. We're signing the thing you see on Procore. So.
Any other questions?
Please, some more questions. We'd love to answer some more questions. Anything?
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.